It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, today we're going to jump on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to go through Konica Minolta's first quarter for their FY, which ends March of 2025. Konica, I got to say on the outset, you're not out of the woods at all. You're not out of the woods. You're still deep in the woods. Okay? Coming to the marketplace with a 1/10 of 1% operating profit for your first quarter, after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, after year after year after year of producing miserable financials is nothing at all to get excited about. Quite honestly, I think it's disturbing at so many levels, and it's very, very, very alarming. And what I find alarming the most is the fact that Konica Minolta just seems to not care about operating profit. They just don't seem to care. I mean, I don't know how they can do this. I don't know how they can come into the marketplace quarter after quarter with these miserable numbers. I mean, we got major players in our industry, and I've talked about these other major players many a times. But the one thing in common that all these other major players have is a discipline to profitability. And that discipline to profitability is something that Konica Minolta just doesn't have. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, hey, you know what? You could put a slide in your financials and talk about your ESG rating and show some pretty pictures of your booth at Drupa, but all that's irrelevant. All that's irrelevant if the ship goes down. You could talk about what you're doing in print, in digital workplace. Hey, we got some profit here. Look at us. It's all irrelevant if the ship goes down. And ladies and gentlemen, something's got to give here at Konica Minolta. But their inability to produce operating profit has got to be disturbing at so many levels. So without any further ado, let's jump on the board. I'll share what I put together. Let me start out by reading this. Increased revenue, significant improvement in business contribution profit. I don't give a crap about business contribution profit. I care about operating profit, so let me read on. Deficits in operating profit and profit attributed to owners of the company. Deficits in operating profit. You know, we're losing less. You can lose less than you lost the last time, but if you're still losing, you're still losing. They go on to say good progress. Performance materials, industrial print, DWDX, precision medicine. I have to ask the question, define good progress. What's good? If you read through the financials, you'll find out that there's deficits in DWDX. There's deficits in industrial print. How is that even possible? I'll share more thoughts on that. They sold off the entire equity capital in Invitco, and it gave a cash inflow of $63.1 million. You would think if they got a cash inflow of $63.1 million, that would improve their free cash flow, that would improve. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what it is about Konica Minolta, but they're really good at their excuses, and they'll fill their presentation up with all kinds of excuses and pretty pictures. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking that maybe they need to use Power BI for their presentation and show pie charts with numbers. Maybe they need to use Excel spreadsheets and show the details in the numbers and just throw away the PowerPoints. Because I don't think their investors give a flying crap how pretty their booth was at Drupa. And I don't think the investors really care about hearing any more excuses. I think the investors at Konica Minolta, well, I think they want profitability. Let's move on. Top line revenue for the quarter was $1.9 billion. They had an operating profit of $2.7 million. Folks, I couldn't even color the whole thing in green. It's so miserable and disgusting. 1/10 of 1% operating profit. That's something to get excited about. Is it really? I think it's something to be totally ashamed of. What's the driving behavior keeping this company from understanding the importance of profitability? I have to ask this question. I think they need to go to a big old recruitment agency and say, we need some board members. We need new leadership. I'm sure the Masters Bank is pretty upset with Konica Minolta. And I've shared my thoughts on this before, but we know the Master Bank's the major equity player in Konica Minolta. They're also the major equity player in Fujifilm, and I'm pretty sure they went to Fujifilm and they said, hey, help us clean this mess up. So I will talk about the joint venture at the end of today's episode. Losing less is still losing. Operating cash flow, negative $53.6 million. Free cash flow, negative $54.9 million. But yet we got an infusion of $63.1 million. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, losing is losing. Let me just say that. Let's talk about professional print. Marketing services in professional print, $114.5 million. Industrial print, $56.4 million. Production print, $283 million. By the way, the revenue increase in professional print without the Forex was plus 1% over the same quarter last year. So, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't because they didn't have an increase because they were at Drupa taking all kinds of orders. But I want to read something here. Production print, profit increased. Industrial print, loss improved. Industrial print, loss improved. Why is industrial print losing money? I mean, did Konica Minolta just give away 200 machines on demo and that's what these orders were at Drupa? Well, we just need you to sign this. We're going to call it an order for demo. That way we can tell in the marketplace we had 200 orders, but it's really 200 demos. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Why is KM losing money on the steaks in the store? I want to inject my retail background here. The loss leader's milk. I mean, you're selling the steak, the industrial print, right? That's people pay for that stuff, right? You don't give that away. They pay for that stuff. These are the filet mignons, the T-bones, the porterhouses, right? I don't understand how Konica Minolta can be losing money on industrial print. We're losing less? Let's jump right in here to the digital workplace. Let me read this about business contribution profit. Office profit increased. DWDX, deficit narrowed. DWDX, deficit narrowed. Why do we have a deficit at all in DWDX? That's all the services, the IT stuff, the all-covered stuff. Why is there a deficit there? Holy crap. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, DWDX, 154.1 million in revenue. Office had 863.7 million in revenue. But we had a deficit narrow due to higher gross profit. Well, yes, your deficit will narrow if you get a higher gross profit. The question I have to ask Konica Minolta is, why are you not getting a higher gross profit as a permission to show up? You should be getting a higher gross profit on DWDX from the day you started selling it. What are you doing? Is DWDX the loss leader? You know, what do you think? Hey, if you buy our IT services, the suite of services we provide you that takes a whole lot of intellect and a whole lot of cost to deliver it to you, you know, if you buy that, you know, maybe we can sell you the printers on your desk. What in the hell are you people doing? Crazy. Why does DWDX even have a deficit? I got to ask it out loud, show it in red. Is KM saying all covered runs in deficit? Because I've been suggesting that for over 5 years. Is all covered running in a deficit? I think Konica Minolta should put it in the comments. Get clear it all up. They're forecasting. Folks, you know, I've done satire on this. I've joked about this, but this is no damn joke. Think about this company. Year after losing money. It's just a crazy mess financially. Their goal for FY24 is a 1.1% operating profit. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what in the world are they thinking? I mean, it's just insanity. They're going to have an $87 million operating profit for the whole company? That's their goal? Well, let me show another slide I made for you. It's pretty easy to get a bullseye if the dart never leaves your hand. I mean, what is Konica Minolta doing? Hey, let's go play darts at the pub. I mean, we're going to win. You know how? We're going to walk up there and just put that dart right in the bullseye. Of course, when you do that, you get laughed out of the pub. Konica Minolta, I just can't understand how you can't set goals. I can't understand how you can't bring discipline to bear. And you're going to have to make some damn tough decisions. There's no doubt about it. But make the decisions and fix this mess. It's craziness. They talk about their global structural reforms. I'm just going to point out one thing here. Let me just read this. Sales and service. Structural reforms. Minimizing effort of on-site service by predictive maintenance based on data. Yeah, we've been doing that for, what, a decade now? Come on, folks. Enhance sales efficiency by marketing based on AI analysis. Let's get the AI involved with the sales. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, minimize on-site service. You know how that's going to happen? It's not going to be by being proactive. It's going to happen because they're going to bring equipment into the marketplace that doesn't break. When I started the A4 revolution, one of the reasons that really motivated me to start that, well, there's a couple reasons. People don't need A3. It's overspecking and overselling. But the other reason was if you put an A4 next to an A3 and they both run the same amount of volume. I'm talking about an A4 MFP. You got an A4 MFP, you got an A3 MFP in the hallway. They're both running the same amount of volume. The A3 is going to have almost 4 calls to the A4's 1. And when your average age of technicians in our industry is like 60 years old, one thing the industry has to do is get a whole lot less on-site service. It's just got to happen. And the way it's going to happen is by equipment coming into the marketplace that needs less service. One of the reasons I'm a big driver and excited about inkjet technology, and whoever the person is, and I say person, I mean manufacturer, whoever the manufacturer is that brings inkjet technology to the office environment with black only is going to have a heyday, wiping out a whole bunch of laser printers. Whether that's our friends at Rizzo, our friends at Kyocera, come on! You know, Epson's been playing in that space for a while, but they seem to be a little bit weak and not aggressive enough to go after the business. But there's tons of opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen, because we got to decrease service big time. You got to have the picture of the booth at Drupa. 200 business contracts. So exciting. Such fancy pictures. But I don't think your shareholders, Konica Minolta, give a flying crap about pictures of your booth at Drupa. I really don't. I really, really don't. Konica, you are continuously in the worst financial condition of the major OEMs. So what's the dollars and profits from Drupa? What's the dollars and profit from Drupa? Stockholders and creditors could care less about pictures of the KM booth at Drupa. Could care less about some 200 orders. What does all this mean financially? Give us some details, because when you look at the financials, it doesn't seem like it helped you any. We'll see how you improve next quarter. You know, maybe the Forex will help you increase your revenue, and you can pretend that was all because you sold stuff at Drupa. How many more divestitures? You know, we know that Konica Minolta dumped some things. They got rid of Forza here in the United States. Thankfully, that's fantastic news, right? That thing was a clown show from the time Konica bought it. But at the end of the day, when will they divest themselves of all cover? Because I really believe they will. You know, something's got to give at Konica Minolta. And they're going to have to make some tough damn decisions. Let's talk about their asset to equity ratio, 40.4%. So 59.6% of their assets are encumbered. This was on yesterday's Forex, these numbers I came up with. If you look at their goodwill, it's $1.9 billion, it's 21%. I don't think goodwill and intangible assets should be more than 10% of total assets. They're cleaning this up a little bit, but not enough. Let's talk about this joint venture. I do have a name, Fuji CUI. Fuji CUI. CUI, strong, Fuji strong. In other words, it's not going to have Konica Minolta anywhere in the name. But you know, I was looking at this joint venture, and it's very different from the one we saw between Toshiba Tech and Ricoh. The joint venture between Toshiba Tech and Ricoh, it talked a lot about the manufacturing of MFPs. This one doesn't talk about that. This one talks about procurement processes around the components. And here's what I think. And of course, Fujifilm or Konica Minolta could put in the comments of today's episode, you know, if I'm wrong. But what I think happened was, I think Master Bank, who has the majority equity in Fujifilm and also has the majority equity in Konica Minolta, went to Fujifilm and said, you got to help us clean up this company that has no disciplined operating profit. Because we all know that Fujifilm has a pretty good disciplined operating profit, right? Okay? We've seen their results. They take it serious. And the Master Bank people said, clean up this mess. Tell us what's going on in this company. And then Master Bank says, and at the end of the day, we're having a really hard time increasing credit lines and stuff over there at Konica Minolta. So maybe you should take over all the procurement processes around the components. Because, you know, you're Fujifilm, you got discipline. Konica Minolta's a train wreck mess financially, and they've been that way for year after year after year. Ladies and gentlemen, am I being harsh on Konica Minolta? Absolutely. Because our industry's media analysts won't say anything about Konica Minolta. They'll continue to allow Konica Minolta to show pretty pictures of booth and talk about how they're doing things great and they're knocking it out of the park. Our industry's media analysts will allow Konica Minolta to get on a conference call with them and tell them everything's going to be okay. You know, everything's going to be okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think everything's okay at Konica Minolta. And I think Fujifilm is just getting started and taking out all of Konica Minolta. And I just hope when they take out all of Konica Minolta, they don't call it Fujifilm Konica Minolta, because the name would be too damn long on the machine. They just need to call it Fujifilm. And everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.